Why are saving interest rates so low? While other nations see a healthy 4% return, Canadians are left with 0.01%. So how can we protect and secure the value of our hard-earned money? The answer is not ETFs, because I want my emergency fund to be easily accessible, give good returns, but most importantly, it should be safe, even if the market... Which is why in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 emergency fund investment options along with their pros and cons, so that by the end, you know exactly which option is best for you. I'll also show you where I have parked my emergency fund and if it's inside my TFSA or not. And if you like this video, leave it a thumbs up. It tells me that I should keep making more videos. Let's begin. You know what an emergency fund is. It's a safety net, 4 to 6 months worth of your living expenses to handle emergencies like job loss, car repairs, roof leaks. It keeps us out of debt so that we don't have to borrow money from our friends, or worse, rely on those credit cards. Let's look at the 5 most talked about emergency fund investment options. Number 1, HISA. It's like a regular savings account, but with a slightly higher interest rate. As of today, my bank's HISA rate is 0.85. They might run promotional offers for new customers, but these typically last only a few months. After that, the rate drops back to 0.01% or whatever the standard rate is. The best part, you can open it directly with your bank. No need to open a new account somewhere else. And HISA comes with CDIC insurance. CDIC is a federal crown corporation that protects eligible deposits up to $100,000 per category in case one or more Canadian federal banks fail. You can visit their website to check if your bank is a CDIC member and if your deposits are protected or not. What I don't like about HISA is that its interest rate is still pretty low. I won't lie, I first chose it for my emergency fund, but I forgot about it completely, and after 3 months, the money automatically moved to a regular savings account, earning just 0.01%. And I realized this after a year. In hindsight, I should have chosen option number 2, GIC. A guaranteed investment certificate is like a fixed deposit where both your principal and a certain interest rate are guaranteed. I know you don't like the login period, but let me explain. Here are the 3 types of GICs my bank representative offered me. The first is Cash.To GIC. It has a fixed interest rate and only has a 30-day lock-in period. Second is a prime-linked Cash.To GIC. It doesn't have a fixed interest rate. Instead, it fluctuates based on your bank's prime rate, which is influenced by the Bank of Canada's policy interest rate. Bottom line, if the prime rate rises, your GIC earns more interest. But if the prime rate drops, your interest rate decreases as well. The third option is a non-redeemable GIC, where the money would be logged in for 1 year in exchange for a higher interest rate. It's written 4.05% over here, but ultimately I was offered an interest rate of 4.45%. What I like about GICs is that they are CDIC insured, are not influenced by market fluctuations. And just between us, if you and your spouse are getting GIC done from the same bank, your bank rep might get you a better deal. That's how I got 4.45%. What I don't like about GICs is the logged in part. 1 year is too much. But cashable GICs have a 30-day lock-in period, and if you can negotiate a better rate with your bank, then you get the best of both worlds. So how do I decide which GIC to choose? If I think interest rates will go up in the future, I will select prime-linked GIC. But if I think the rates might go down, then I try to lock in a higher interest rate today with a non-redeemable GIC. But here's a big question. Where do I store my GIC? In my TFSA or in a non-registered savings account? That depends on another key question. Is my TFSA maxed out? If yes, and I have enough savings for a separate emergency fund, then I'd keep my emergency fund GIC in a non-registered savings account, since GIC has comparatively lower returns. And I'd invest my entire TFSA in the stock market using index ETFs, aiming for higher returns and taking full advantage of TFSA's tax-free growth. If my TFSA was not maxed out, then I would park my GIC in my TFSA, because why waste that tax-free contribution room? But once I have enough money to max out my TFSA, I'd withdraw my emergency fund tax-free and transfer it to a non-registered savings account. And from that point, I would use my TFSA to exclusively invest in the stock market using index ETFs, aiming for higher returns with minimum risks. I know this is too much. It took me a while too. Which is why I explained what are registered savings account and the step-by-step process of how I use my TFSA money to buy index ETFs in both Canada and USA in these 2 videos. I've left the links of these videos in the description. Happy learning. Option 3, WealthSimple Cash or HISA. The only reason I included it in this list because I read it in a discussion forum that WealthSimple is offering a 4% interest rate. Perhaps they were doing it like 9 months back, but as I'm recording this video, the interest rate is 2.25%. I even called their helpline to confirm. You can withdraw your HISA money anytime you want. According to their website, WealthSimple is not a CDIC member, but they have partnered with a number of CDIC member financial institutions. So when you deposit money with them, it is held at these partner banks. The reason why this option doesn't work for me is because I prefer to have my emergency fund directly in a bank instead of creating a new account with a financial institution in the middle. Plus, the HISA rate is still less than my bank's current GIC rate. This option might work for you if you already have a brokerage account with them. But WealthSimple isn't my preferred broker either because they charge a percentage in currency conversion fees, and I think that's too much. I talk about which brokers I use in this video, in case you're interested. Option 4, bond ETFs. They are funds that hold a diversified portfolio of bonds like government bonds, corporate bonds, and they trade on stock exchanges, which is why you can buy and sell them anytime, providing you that liquidity. And there might be potential for higher returns. But, and there are some big buts, bond ETFs are not CDIC insured and they are subject to market risk. Let's take a look at a random bond ETF. You'll notice it charges an expense ratio, which can affect my returns, and I don't like that for my emergency fund. And honestly, the returns are, especially compared to my bank's GIC rates. Why is it sounding like it's sponsored by my bank? It's not. My biggest problem with bond ETFs is that I would never park my emergency fund in the stock market without CDIC protection. That's just common sense. Don't get me wrong, I like ETFs, but I like index ETFs. And for long-term investing, they give me good returns and charge me the least fees. I love them. And the final option of the day is Cash.To. I agree with you, Canadian troll. What is Cash.To? If you go to their website, you'll read that it is an ETF and they find banks that provide higher interest rates and invest in them. You can look at this fund's performance details, compare it with your bank's GIC, plus they charge you a management expense ratio. I think at this stage, you and I have become friends and you understand my feelings for this option. It doesn't have a lock-in period, so that's definitely a pro. I don't think the rates are better than my bank's GIC rates, not to mention it's not CDIC insured. But the biggest con for me is that if I was a new investor looking to just park my emergency fund, why would I open a new brokerage account just to invest in this ETF? Okay, now it is time for the grand reveal. My emergency fund is parked at, you know this one, you know it. Let me prove to you that I keep my money where my mouth is. My emergency fund is in a non-redeemable GIC at 4.45%. But things are not so rosy right now. As of today, I reached out to my bank rep and these are the rates they're offering me. And yet, even for this year, I'll choose a GIC because they are CDIC insured and I don't need to open a new account anywhere else just for my emergency fund. So to sum it up, this is how I would rate today's options. The only question I would ask myself is, do I like the lock-in period or not? Because that decides if I would choose a redeemable GIC or a non-redeemable one. But hey, that's just my opinion. Comment and tell me where you like to park your emergency fund. And if it's GIC, give me a high five. And if you want to see how I invest long-term to generate wealth, then I show you the step-by-step process of investing my TFSA money in the stock market in these videos. I've left their links in the description. And do subscribe and hit the bell icon because we respect your time and make videos that are crisp and to the point. I'm Taskeen, this is The Urban Fight, and I'll see you in the next video. You can watch them by clicking right here.